5 p.m. in the Tom Baker Room. Meeting of Burleigh County Commission will be following the County Weed Board. First off, we're going to start with invocation and Pledge of Allegiance.
Already standing. Look at that. I like that. Go ahead. No, stay standing. Yeah.
You have him trained
Yes.
well.
I know.
My wife would be proud.
Yeah, let's stand as we pray and then as we say the pledge. Heavenly Father, we just come before you today and thank you for the weekend and the moisture that we needed so desperately, especially in the county. The grass is so dry and things just seem to ignite things so easily out there. And so we just are grateful for how you just blessed us. And I pray, God, you just continue to pour your blessings down upon our county and all the cities that we have. And bless this into the school year. Some of the county schools have already graduated, and we just pray, God, you'll just be with those that are heading out and going to schools and those kind of things. Continue to be with our commissioners as they meet tonight and as they tackle some tough issues. I pray, God, you just guide them. Thank you for our emergency responders out there as they continue to tackle the things that we need to be safe in our county. And we do this all in your son's name, Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
With that, I call to order the County Weed Board. Can we get a roll call, please?
Commissioner Schwab. Here. Commissioner Woodcox. Commissioner Munson.
Here.
Commissioner Bittner. Here. Chairman Bakken.
Here. Approval of agenda.
Motion to approve. Second.
Motion is second. Any discussion? Hearing none. Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Munson.
Yes.
Commissioner Bittner.
Yes.
Commissioner Schwab.
Yes.
Chairman Bakken.
Yes. Consideration of the December 1st, 2025 Weed Board minutes.
Move to approve. Second.
Motion is second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Bittner.
Yes.
Commissioner Schwab.
Yes.
Commissioner Munson.
Yes.
Chairman Bittner.
Yes.
Chairman Bakken.
Yes. Next item up is public comment restricted to Burleigh County residents and landowners concerning the County Weed Board. Anyone wishing to come up and speak, do so now, please. Second call for public comment. Third and final call for public comment. Public comment is now closed. Moving on to our County Weed Officer, Darren Johnson. Darren.
Evening, members of the board, Chair Bakken. Spring's here, I guess, so I figured I better show up and so you know I made the winner. So I just make it. I got to make it short, like Steve Bakken was saying. I've gotten some threats, if I go on with as long as they have been in the past. So we can just start with number 5 there. It's just the updates and discussions. Sales on the chemical, I started that on April 30th. We've got some people coming in for that. They're not procrastinating as much as they did last year, so we're getting some out there so they're ready for it. We're going to be doing the Milestone, High Noon, Felix Plateau, and Tordon, the Tordon only for those that have the chemical certifications. Plant growth is a little bit slower right now. We're seeing a little bit of wormwood. The spurge is starting to come around, but as it gets warmer, it's going to go fast and start growing quicker. I just put a little bit in there on like May 15th. I checked where the temps were ranging at 2 inches, and it was anywhere from 34 to 38 throughout the state. And today I checked, it's 42 to 59, so we're getting a little more heat in the ground there. Spurge is starting to show up. Got a couple guys that are letting me know that, and I did find a few plants out when I was doing some of my inspections on certain roadways that we had a little problems with last year, so I wanted to make sure. So that's going on. Number 2, just basically would like to see more landowners applying for this the contracted stuff so that we can get out there and make their weed problems better. Number 3, much the same as last year. We're going to run with the High Noon at 20 ounce acres, 60 an acre on the Tordon, and then Liberate is your quart per 100. So we're going to run that same run. We had good luck with that last year. We'll look at probably changing up for next year, keep the chemical change so the plants don't get smart to what we're doing. let's see here. Yeah, we've got some areas that I've marked out for this year for some cattails areas, not water areas, just the cattail areas that are causing some problems with our right-of-ways and stuff like that in the winter for snow removal. Let's see here. Then in number 4, I guess that's pretty much what I have in there. I mean, we're going to do some forbs in certain areas also. Number 4, the ROWs. Same thing, pretty much. Last fall's meeting was brought up by Steve Schwab there as far as charging the NDDOT for the time that I have out there doing inspections and pre and post inspections on the RWs of the state. I talked with Alyssa there at the NDDOT. They upped their chemical or their application up 5,000. So at the end of the year, I'll just keep track of my hours that I'm out there, and then I'll bill her myself, or the weed board can bill her, and that'll be taken out of that. They have no problem with that at all. And then, along 94 where they did the highway stuff last year, we're going to look at that, but 240 is about all we can put on there until everything starts getting established. I purchased number 5. I purchased 2 Androids, the same system, the spray sync equipment, and got that. We installed that ourselves. Chris Mallard with Greenhead. We got that all done up ourselves, and it's all up running, so we're going to be able to cover or get more data even on some of what on our lands that are getting sprayed, our contracted stuff. We're going to get that now instead of just the ROWs. So, because Chris does quite a bit of more of the contracted spraying and stuff like that, so we'll be able to broaden and get more of a total acreage for the county. So when I take that into NDDA, John can make a map up. It'll show exact acreage as far as that goes. So that'll help out with our LAP program and everything too. So, okay, am I going fast enough?
Yes, sir.
Okay. On May 17th, I got the distribution center inspected by John Potts. He started last August, and he was really impressed with how not to pat my own back, I'm just saying, he was impressed with how the distribution center that we have is set up. Everything's off the floor, spill kits are there, fire extinguishers, everything's right there up to snuff. Got the EPA numbers, the chemical listed on the wall, as well as with all the SDS cards and information too, so everything looks good there. Biochemical, number 6. I did order. I had 2 people that were interested in getting more beetles than I had last year. I just kind of, with last year, it was basically like the red-headed stem beetles, what they had extra through NDDOT or through NDDA and such. But I got those out there last year, and then with what I went out and netted out at Lake Chida. So I dispersed those in those 2 areas, and they're wanting more. So I ordered some. It's no cost to the county. It's when they come in, I make out that I take that bill into NDDA. It's all filled out and the company I'm going with out of Montana is Weed Busters, and so that's where I ordered it out of. So I've got black and brown boar beetles is what I ordered for this year. And we'll get those dispersed sometime at the end of June, beginning of July is when the order should come in. So, yeah, and then let's move on to 7 then. Gravel pits. I've got some landowners where Knife River is looking at getting new pits put in. And I'll be going out, getting to get them certified. Landowners are asking for it, asking Knife River for it, so I'll be going out doing that also, and checking on all the pits that I got, for Knife River, Burleigh counties, everybody's. So just kind of a lump sum there of what is going on with that. And then going on to the topics for the 2026 season. I got the coin slot ordered in that was brought up, or I brought up last fall. At the wing fire department, that's running and ready to go. There's some guys actually using it. They're liking it. Things are working. Coins are working. The Sterling shop out there, I've installed the water tank. I'll be going out putting the pump on it next week, because that will be in that area. We're going to start kind of along that area for our startup too, for application. And then Greenheads, yeah, I got all the SDS labels that that Greenhead needed. That's number 3, I'm sorry. That needed because I got some Aquanid in, and then we got the LI 700 surfactant for the cattail areas. So I made sure he has those on their spray trucks. This year, all the Burleigh County shops are going to be handled by the contractor, by Burleigh County Weed Board. I mean, it's just some spraying some Roundup around the fence lines, around the fuel tanks, taking care of some of the lawn care and stuff like that too, just because I got Freelix. It's all you can put out there anyway, so we'll save a lot of money by us doing it ourselves. So we're gonna roll into that, and that's all 4 of the shops. And then number 5, number 5, over this last winter, I helped out with the highway department as needed throughout the winter. It was a mild winter, so it was here and there, not a whole bunch, but some. You know, I helped in the welding shop, helped with some equipment, and then this spring was out with Jason doing flag and sign setups with him. And then at close, want to let the people of Burleigh County know that we have a great group of people that are working for the good of county, the engineers, supervisor, office personnel, and all who make it work. Are there any questions?
Any questions for Darren? One question, Darren.
Yep.
So as far as outreach for chemical sales and getting the word out that you are a resource, how's that going? What are the modes of getting the word out?
Well, this year I took applications and then announced that at the township meeting this spring. Well, I wasn't able to attend. Casey covered for me. I had some stuff out of town, out of state, but that was mentioned there. I sent out a letter to all the townships explaining what we were doing, what we were putting down, certain things that, complications that kind of rolled in last year where guys thought they were going to be able to just ride around in the pickups and stuff with the sprayers, and that's a no-no because insurance don't cover that. But in that letter also, I put down that there's applications in Sterling, Wing, Wilton, and at the Bismarck shop and the NDSU extension agent. So it's out there.
Perfect.
And so I've had quite a few guys that they called from, up by Wing and stuff, and they're like, well, I don't have it. Go into the Cynics. They're there, man. We got this. And
Good.
so we're getting some more guys coming in that way.
Okay. Any other questions? Commissioner Schwab?
Darren, are you going to be going to any continuing ed this summer? And
There are.
because you asked last year, so we can kind of take care of that now.
Yeah, no, there'll be the schooling up in Carrington. Kind of decide, well, it'll depend on if they make it any different than the one last year. If it's similar, I won't go to it. But if there's any out there that I can go to that's different, yes, I will. Dickinson, I know they're going to be putting on a spray clinic out there. Planning on attending that one. That one there is in, I think it's right about the middle of June is when they're going to have that one out there. I'll probably run out there and take part in that one. And then also, I made Steve Bakken said that, or asked me if we were going to contribute any cashes or funds for sponsoring, whether it's the conference that's in January, February here in Bismarck, or the symposium that's every 2 years. I've spoke to be a sponsor for the symposium up in Washburn. And that's August 24th, 25th, and 26th. That's up there. So whether it be one of the breakfasts or something like that, we'll sponsor something up there.
Perfect, thank you. Any other questions? Any other business for the weed board? Hearing none, the weed board is adjourned.
Thank you.
Thanks, Darren.
Thanks, Jared. We'll call the May 18th, 2026 meeting of the Burleigh County Commission to order. First item is roll call of members.
Commissioner Bakken.
Here.
Commissioner Schwab.
Here.
Commissioner Munson.
Here.
Commissioner Woodcox. Chairman Bittner.
Here. The approval of the agenda.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion is second to approve the agenda. Any further discussion? Call the roll.
Commissioner Schwab.
Yes.
Commissioner Munson.
Yes.
Commissioner Bakken.
Yes.
Chairman Bittner.
Yes, motion carries. I had a chance to review the bills and would request a motion to approve the minutes and the bills.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion is second to approve the minutes and bills. Any further discussion? Call the roll.
Commissioner Munson.
Yes.
Commissioner Bakken.
Yes.
Commissioner Schwab.
Yes.
Chairman Bittner.
Yes, motion carries. Public comment. Does anybody wish to speak under the public comment period? This is a public comment period. Does anybody wish to speak? Please state your name for the record, please.
My name is Kim Fettig. Good evening, Chair and Commissioners. I just have a couple of, probably 3 or 4 short comments to make. The first thing I'd like to comment on and put a picture up to show is to discuss, to see if we can figure out what we're going to do with 66th Street. This is kind of a terrible picture. I was taking it while it was raining and my husband was trying to drive down the road. But when we get rain, which we haven't had any, of course, until yesterday, but this part of the whole northern part, the first mile from 71st down to probably 57th, when it rains, it is so bad that you almost have to use four-wheel drive on it to be able to drive. And I don't know what the solution is. I know they tried a couple of years ago putting a solution into it and redoing it, but it needs gravel or something on it just to help. And there is a subdivision that uses this road coming off a Rocky Road onto 66, so it's multiple people that have no other access. They need to use this road. And it really gets in a mess. And I'm hoping we get lots more rain, so we'll probably have lots more issues with it. Next thing I'd like to comment on is I noticed, along with a lot of others, I'm sure the ditch repairs that were done along Centennial Road. It looks good, but then it should for the $35,000 for the 2/3 of a mile of repairs that was mentioned from the county. Believe me, there's many people that are going to be watching this to see how long it's going to last and if it's going to be beneficial to do other places. I've been asked many times about this, where specifically the money is coming from to pay for the repairs. And I don't know if we've ever specifically gotten an answer in all the discussions at the other meetings, but I know that's something that would be beneficial for people to know how it's being paid for. This kind of leads to my next thing to show you. After our beautiful rain that we had yesterday and needed so much, I took these pictures this morning. This is along 71st Avenue. After all the many discussions that have been had at these meetings about people knowing they shouldn't be driving in wet ditches, this is the kind of stuff that is still happening, even after all the Facebook postings and all the talk at the meetings here, and the OHV dealership is saying they're trying to get word out too. It's still going on. This is just another one showing from the other direction that I stood on the approach and took this picture. As you can see, it goes on for quite a long distance that just keep on doing the damage. You know, we've heard over and over that OHVs don't damage landowners' property, and it's that their right to drive in these ditches. Again, I can only emphasize what many others have. Where is the right of the landowner who pays taxes when they have to deal with this damage on their property? It's been asked at this commission and of State's Attorney Julie Lawyer to give us a specific North Dakota Century Code or ruling to why a 5-mile ban of OHVs from city limits can't be put in place. And the only thing I hear is that you can't do it. Nothing's been given, not to us. I mean, I've used to work in government, and I've been searching through the Century Code and places, and I haven't been able to find anything that says you can't do that. And lastly, I'd like to comment on item 14 that's going to be on tonight's agenda with removing Missouri Valley Fairgrounds and Kimball Bottoms from being in the ban restrictions. I totally disagree with this. Are any of you really thinking that fires can't happen in these areas either? Along with this item, I'd also like to address the letter in the packet from the gentleman from the Corps of Engineers. I've got the letter in front of me where he's stating that the fire emergency burn restrictions declared by Burleigh County are to now include off-highway vehicle usage. It's not something that's just been added. It's been there for a long time and just never been enforced. He also says that, you know, he would be for exempting Kimball Bottoms. But then he goes on to say, we would emphasize that people stay on established trails. This is kind of a laugh. Why would the OHV riders think they have to listen to this when they haven't listened to any of the discussions that have been had here? If conditions are such that a burn ban is in effect, it should be for everyone. This also makes me question how you can make separate rules for this, but yet we can't have OHV banned for 5 miles. That's kind of picking and choosing is what was said why we couldn't do it. But this is kind of picking and choosing to exempt certain ones from doing it. Thank you for your time and listening to me.
Thank you. Okay, anybody else wish to speak? Public comment.
Do you have something for me to sign in on here? There's nothing here. But anyway, there's nothing here.
I think maybe you grabbed it, Kim.
I took my own up there.
Oh. Oh, was there a sheet of paper?
There's no sheet. Good evening, Commissioners, Chair Bittner. I see the Sheriff Lieben is in the house. He's an elected official that the Burleigh County residents voted him in to be a sheriff. He's not a deputy. He takes care of the Sheriff's Department. And a while back, Commissioner Munson, you had said if there's any issues in reckless driving with these OHVs to call in. Just to keep calling. Well, I've done that for 30-some years, and a lot of times when these deputies come out, there's more than one. There's like 2 cars, a car and a pickup, and not all the time, but sometimes. And when they come out, they're gone. These reckless dirt bike riders and OHVs, side-by-sides, They're gone. So, the other sheriff that was before Lieben here, he couldn't do anything with it either. And it wasn't too many meetings ago, Sheriff Lieben come up here. And he said, I wasn't here, I was watching it on TV. He said the easiest way, it's either the easiest way or the best way to take care of this is to ban them. So what I'm wondering is why Commissioner Munson and Woodcock ain't here, why is it that you guys don't listen to the sheriff? The citizens of Burleigh County voted him in. He said the easiest way is to ban them. Now, I hope the next commission, the next table of commissioners, and it sounds pretty promising, that with this moratorium that they want to implant or whatever, I want to know from State's Attorney Julie Lawyer, she's another one that's elected. If this board or these commissioners ban these dirt bike guys, you guys seen the pictures. I want to throw up. When my wife took pictures, 71st Avenue, again, where you guys put straw rolls with my tax money. If you guys would vote to ban them for 5 years, is that legal? I want an answer from the state's attorney. Is that legal? And if it ain't legal, I want to know why. We got the home rule charter. We got that legislature thing that passed. It's unbelievable. The only one I can say that really knows in depth how bad this is Chair Bittner. He's been there and done it many times, many different terms. But go out and drive it. It just rained. Thank God. I hope we get more. It's unbelievable. The damage they're doing. I don't know why you guys are taking my tax dollars and throwing it into this mess. Commissioner Woodcock, I called him, and he insisted there's no way it's ever going to get banned. And I told him, I said, you know how you fix this? He said, how? I said, here's how you do it. You get yourself about 10 side dump semis, 3 front-end payloaders, and 20 shovels, and start fixing. You know what he did? He hung up on me. He hung up on me. You guys did a hell of a job on Centennial Road by Sam Turnbull coming north. We'll see how long that lasts. We'll see. So I stand for any questions, but I want to know why you can't have a 5-mile ban from the city limits. 5 miles. Don't you want Burleigh County to look good, or do you want it to look like, I mean, it's crazy. It's a capital of North Dakota. That's all I got to say. I'll stand for any questions. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Commissioners, any questions for Tom? I don't see any. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, anybody else wish to speak? This is a public comment period. Anybody else wish to speak? Okay, I'm going to close the public comment period. State's Attorney Lawyer, did you want to respond to that request? He was asking for some information.
No, I don't have a response.
Okay. Okay, so we got the consent agenda, we got abatement, special event permits, and a check replacement. Commissioners, you want to pull anything off there for discussion? Otherwise,
Move to approve.
Second.
motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. Any further discussion? Call the roll.
Commissioner Bakken.
Yes.
Commissioner Schwab.
Yes.
Commissioner Munson.
Yes.
Chairman Bittner.
Yes, motion carries. Item 7 is a public hearing for University of Mary bond request. I will open the public hearing. Is there somebody to represent the University of Mary? Please identify yourself for the record, please.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, I am Jerome Richter. I'm the Executive Vice President at the University of Mary. Along with me are some representatives of Rivera Bank that also could answer any questions that may be needed. But I have the resolution here. I know that you guys had it on the agenda. Hopefully, you've had a chance to review. If you'd give me just a moment just to explain what we're using this for. is to expand the campus in a number of ways, both academically, facility-wise, everything from new parking lots to new athletic facilities, new residence hall, et cetera. We are very proud to share that we bring about 1,000 new students to the Bismarck-Mandan area every fall. We graduated just under 1,100 here at the end of April. And our students are filling our hospitals, our schools, our businesses, and we're just proud to be able to serve this great area in all these different ways. So if there's any questions that you have or anything that you need me to explain, I'd be happy to try to do that.
I do have one for you.
Sure.
I just found out this past week that some additional land on the west side of the University of Mary is falling into Apple Creek. And I don't know if the emergency manager had any or the highway department had any more information on that. But that is, I was just curious if there's any funding included in this that would seek to address that.
We have been focusing on that in the past for about the last 7 years. We had some grants that came through that we used to shore up the bluff that they've been monitoring ever since, but I believe we just finalized the second phase of that here just this past fall. And so if there's anything new happening to it right now, I'm unaware of that. And so could let me know, that'd be great.
I think we had some drone photos and whatnot. I would be happy to share that with you. If
Sure.
You want to let the county administrator have your email address, and I think she would send that to you.
Absolutely.
Any other questions regarding the bond request?
Mr. Chair, I would move to approve the bond request as presented.
Second for discussion.
Motion and a second. Go ahead.
And actually, it's more of a Brevera Bank, just for the record, for public transparency. Could you explain the mechanism by which the bond is remunerated? And just the mechanics of the bond?
Great. I'll let Mr. Dykemus speak to that.
My name is Kevin Dykema. I'm the Bismarck Regional President for Brevera Bank. So to address your question, Commissioner Bakken, yes, we are pooling together a number of municipalities to issue bank-qualified tax-exempt bonds for the facilities and improvements being made at University of Mary. So every municipality has $10 million available, as you're all aware. So we've done this before with other nonprofits for similar construction projects. The benefit, of course, to the nonprofit entity is a lower tax rate, or a lower interest rate, I should say, by going down the bank qualified route versus the non-tax exempt route. So we're working with a consortium of banks and local banks here in Bismarck to put together the full $60 million, and we're really appreciative of Burleigh County considering being the host jurisdiction for that, as all the other municipalities will latch on to the Burleigh County host jurisdiction. Did I answer the question, or was there more to it that you were looking for?
I just wanted to share the process for transparency, so those that are at home know how that works. So, thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Call the roll.
Commissioner Munson.
Yes.
Commissioner Bakken.
Yes.
Commissioner Schwab.
Yes.
Chairman Bittner.
Yes, motion carries. If you want to provide your email address.
Absolutely.
You
Thank
got
you. Thank you very much.
Okay, all right, we got it. Never mind. Okay, number 8, Brent Ekstrom, Lewis and Clark Development Group Executive Director. Welcome, Brent.
Well, good evening, Commissioners. As you mentioned, I'm Brent Ekstrom. I'm the Executive Director of the Lewis and Clark Development Group. I just wanted to come over and talk about what we have going on at at the development group this last year and what we see coming up in this next year. Open to any questions. As you guys are aware, I've been here before, so you guys know we are community and economic development throughout the 10-county region. We are located in Mandan, but we serve all of Burleigh County, Morton County, all the counties surrounding us, as well as we have a number of statewide programs. So I believe you guys were given some of my handouts in the packet ahead of time. A couple of things, just want to talk about a couple of the programs that we've been doing over this last year, and a couple of things that are coming up in the next year that's going to be of specific things that you guys are going to know about in Burleigh County. So a couple things that we've been doing. We initiated to help some of our small businesses and our veterans, we initiated a Vet Advantage program with one of our funding sources with our SBA 504 program, which does our long-term fixed rate financing for businesses that want to buy buildings, expand their buildings, things like that. This gives anybody that's a veteran, current or their spouse of a veteran can apply to us. They get a bunch of their fees get waived, and they get a little bit better, not necessarily a better rate, but they get less fees, and they get some other advantages of being a veteran for that, to hopefully as kind of to help them as they go from active duty or reserve duty and want to start businesses. So that was a program that we started this last year to help them. The other program I think I've talked about before that we have is the Meat and Poultry Intermediary Lending Program that came out of back in the COVID timeframe. We've actually accessed another $15 million for that. That is to expand the meat and poultry processing. So to basically to diversify the big fours, the Tysons of the world. They're obviously, if you remember during COVID when that shut down, obviously there was a big push, and of course in North Dakota with the processing, if anybody that is a rancher around here that processes, they know that they're about a year out, right, to get your stuff processed. You got to be on their list. We're trying to improve that. We're trying to, we have this program. It's actually about a 1.25% or 1.5% interest rate for 10-year money. So these businesses that want to expand, it's a really, really attractive rate for them. Hopefully they can expand. So it's good for our ranchers. It's good for our businesses, and it expands that food market. The nice thing about that program is once it revolves back in, all these are loans, right? So we loan this out. Once it revolves back in, it can be used to anything in the food services industry. So one of the things we're looking at, like in rural areas, rural grocery stores are really hard to compete because they can't order in bulk. So if there was a bunch of rural groceries that wanted to get together, do a warehousing facility, that warehousing facility would be eligible for really, really low interest rate money, and they could use that to help keep these rural grocery stores a little bit more competitive. So that's a big program that we've been working on. And again, we have funding available for that, as well as the other programs that we've had for years and years where we do flex-based interest buy-downs for businesses that need to have that a little bit better interest rate, especially on startups and expansions, as well as our other lending programs that we've been doing for years. The other thing that we've been doing is we've been, as you guys know, talked about it last year, we continue to acquire properties to try to keep them affordable for low to moderate income workforce housing type of housing. We did Century View up here. We continue to acquire. We're still managing properties up in Wilton, and as these smaller communities don't have professional management for these properties, we'll step in and do that management for them so we can make sure that they stay good quality management for so they're safe and affordable housing for workforce both in Bismarck as well as the rural communities here. We manage about 1,000 properties now throughout the state. Many of them are in this area. So we continue to do that. We continue to apply and try to create and do new construction as well. And so it is a lot of times the programs that we use are low-income housing tax credit programs, which again is highly competitive. So we continue to apply for those. When we are successful, we will continue to build new projects as well as expand or as well as remodel the existing projects. So in the handout that I gave you, it shows all the projects that we did in this last year. So we did about $12 million in projects just on the commercial side. It doesn't include our housing side. It also has in there how we are funded, so you can see how the breakdown is. How we earn most of our money is through obviously our interest and fees as we've grown our loan funds. The other thing that's not listed on here that came out of the big beautiful bill, if you remember, there are some cuts and things that were to Medicaid and to offset that they did the rural health care rural healthcare initiative that came out of there, and North Dakota is taking advantage of that because obviously we have to deploy a significant amount of money, so right around $250 million per year for the next 5 years. That's running through the North Dakota Health and Human Services. They have approached us at the regional council, actually all of the 8 regional councils throughout the state, to provide technical assistance to help market those programs and to help get good quality applications coming into the Department of Health. So this is so your rural communities out there, if there's different healthcare, and they're coming out with a bunch of different grants. We're not the ones that are actually providing the grant. We're just providing the technical assistance on it. And so these smaller communities, it's everything from telehealth, increasing your telehealth out there, to even doing like walking paths and things like that. There's a bunch of different grants that are coming out of Health and Human Services. They're still rolling them out. They've rolled out about 5. They got about 50 more to roll out. As they roll out, we're going to be the center of contact for all of the people in your communities to come and talk to us, and then we will help them to go through that process of applying for those grants to Health and Human Services. And so, like I said, and if they're not in our region, they'll be, there's one person in every region. So I've hired people to do that. The other person that I've hired, I hired a resource development specialist. His sole job is to work with your cities and your towns and work with your businesses to go out and find resources to actually go out, either find grants or find low interest loans, whether they're our loans or somebody else's, but to help businesses expand, help communities with their projects. So if a community wants to do something with their swimming pool, they can contact our office. His job is to help provide that technical assistance to go out and look for those opportunities that are out there throughout the region. So we're expanding our staffing to make sure that we continue to meet the needs of the counties that we serve, and the businesses within them, as well as the people that are living there. So you have a couple graphs there that I usually send out, a list of all the projects that we've done in your county throughout the last actually about 30 years. So yeah, with that, I'll open up to any questions that you might have.
Commissioner Schwab?
I've noticed in this printout of grants that have been given that there's quite a few that aren't matched.
Well, those are actually loans.
They're what?
They're loans.
They're loans?
Yeah, we don't do grant.
Okay.
Those are businesses, and those
They're
are
not
loans.
marked as loans. They're not marked as loans. I say they're not marked as loans, so I kind of looked at it.
Oh, yeah, it says grant or loan at the top because there are a couple things that we do grants, but just about all of those are loans that we do. There's a couple that a few years back in the 90s and stuff with EDA, there was some grants that were done, but pretty much everything in the last about 15 to 20 years is all loans. A lot of those that are not matched, they might be something where it's a flex-paced buy-down, and so we're just taking a very small portion of it, or it's direct financing for something, but usually it's just a piece of a project. But yeah, they all revolve back in, and we they're all required to be repaid on there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, Brent.
Thank you.
Interim Finance Director Schmidt, Special Assessment District Number 77 reimbursement resolution and an investment report. Welcome, Ted.
Good evening, Chair Bittner and Commissioners. The first item in the packet, excuse me, is a reimbursement resolution for Special Assessment District 77 and 78. My understanding is those projects have been bid and awarded but have not started. And so this reimbursement resolution just offers us the flexibility to bond that special assessment if we choose to. So we have to pass this within 60 days of starting, so we're well before that. And then it doesn't force us to bond if we choose. It just gives us the option. I think the last one we did, we ended up doing a loan through BND. And we had, I'm not sure if we did a resolution for that one or not. We don't need one for BND, but like I said, this just gives us the option to do that if we need to.
Okay.
And so my request is just to approve the attached resolution, but I will stand for any questions.
Commissioners, any questions for Taylor?
Move to approve. Second.
Boy, there's a serious echo here.
Stereo.
Any further discussion? Call the roll.
Commissioner Schwab,
Yes.
Commissioner Bakken.
Yes.
Commissioner Munson,
Yes.
Chairman Bittner.
Yes, motion carries.
And so this is the quarter one investment report. The report itself is actually on the back of the memo there. And so I really just want to, for now, focus on that executive summary. So we've got the current period versus the prior period and the change. And so those are and that's an average balance. So it's an average over the course of that quarter. As you can see, that went down, and that was mainly due to year-end maturities that we used to fund operations. So we had those structured, so that they would mature. And so that's why there's that decrease there of about 7.8 million. And then obviously, since our investment portfolio balance went down from quarter four to quarter one, our interest went down as well. But another part of that, you'll see rates have gone slightly down, about 0.16%. But you'll see we're still beating the benchmark by about almost 0.2%. And then the other, where you look at that change on that far right column of the executive summary, we're getting closer to the benchmark, and that's because in quarter one, interest rates were flat. So as things mature that we're at higher rates, now we're reinvesting at pretty close to the market rate since things are pretty stagnant. So in a flat environment, we get pretty close to what that market rate is. So that's kind of where it's a negative, but it just means we're still beating the benchmark. We're just getting closer to the benchmark is what that means. And then the rest of the report just shows the average balance by account type, the investment earnings by account type, and then there's kind of that benchmark comparison. The different there is, and there's in dollars at the bottom to kind of show if it, again, the benchmark number, we're about 20,000 ahead of that benchmark number. And then one thing to note too with that average portfolio balance that I just want to point out is we didn't spend that money in quarter one. It just went to cash. So we don't include cash in this. We do earn some interest on our cash in our checking account, but it's not considered an investment, so it's not part of this report. But that's all I have. I don't need any action. This was just for your information, but I will stand for any questions if you have any.
Commissioners, any questions? Thank you. I don't see any. County Engineer Shriak, Moffett Road improvements.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. We just have one item on the agenda tonight, and that's to authorize the proper county officials to enter in a contract with the low bidder for project SC 0848004, which is the Moffett Road Improvement Project. As part of the North Dakota Department of Transportation Rural Federal Funding Program, we received bids to mill, overlay, and chip seal Moffett Road. Bids were opened on May 8th. The following bid was the apparent low bidder by Strata Corporation at $3,182,169.73. There is a proposed resolution in your packet. I would stand for any questions that you may have on that particular project.
Okay, I have two questions. First off, about how long is that project?
13 miles.
13 miles, okay.
Yep.
Okay. I see that on here now that I asked the question, right? The other thing that I had is there was a question about signing a DocuSign for the cost share from the state for this project. And one of the things that the person said, I didn't forward it to you, but I talked to you about it, that says something about that needing to be signed prior to bids, and I've never seen us do that. Do you have any thoughts on that, or?
Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, I don't know what that particular email said. I can follow up with the DOT representative that sent that over tomorrow and get you a definitive answer on that. Casey, my guess would be that would be the commitment to follow through pending the bids come in reasonable.
You know, I didn't read the exact thing. It is a contract, and I explained to her that I can't sign, I can't and won't sign for anything that the commission does not take action on. And so that's kind of what led up to this. I'll send it to both you and Casey.
Okay. We will certainly follow up with that and just verify that for the future type of these type of projects.
Yeah, I guess the only reason I'm mentioning it is if there is a step that we can do that expedites the process or something, then I'd be happy to do that. It's just we've never done that before, so that I'm aware of.
I'm not aware of that either. So
okay.
The project did come in underneath the engineer's estimate by about $140,000, so we did get good pricing, all things considered, with trucking costs and whatnot. So like I said, there is a proposed resolution if you guys have any other questions.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion is second to approve. Any further discussion? Called roll.
Commissioner Munson.
Yes.
Commissioner Bakken.
Yes.
Commissioner Schwab.
Yes?
Chairman Bittner.
Yes, motion carries. Thanks, Dave.
Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, if you don't mind, I'd like to follow up a little bit with what Tom Fettig was up here.
Sure.
Mr. Fettig.
Sure.
66th Street is slated to get some gravel this year. Last year, we did a base stabilization project in that north portion. That was the oldest portion. We found out had very little gravel in it. So when we reclaimed that with the base stabilizer, we ended up pulling up some topsoil, and that's why we're seeing that really sliminess on the very north end of that project. But it is scheduled to get some gravel this summer. If Mr. Fettig would like to reach out to our office, I'll work with my gravel foreman and try to come up with a definitive timeline. With spring load restrictions just being removed last week, we just started our graveling operations last week, so I don't know where they're at and when this is scheduled to get some gravel, but it is scheduled to get some gravel on that north end this summer.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dan. County Planning Director Flanagan, Bakken East Pipeline Project.
Good evening, Commissioners, Mr. Chair. Yeah, I received this last week on Wednesday, and so it's a natural gas pipeline that's interstate, so FERC is in responsibility of it. It's not up to PSC. So this is the federal oversight on this. It's a natural gas line project. It's going to take up to 2 years. It's 355 miles of 30, 36, and 42-inch diameter greenfield pipe. No compressor stations will be in Burleigh County. Basically, the WBI, the contractor for the project, is looking for stuff that they're not aware of. Environmental things, issues such as wildlife preserves, unstable geological areas like landslides, also depth requirement for road crossings. So this is the best map that we've got. PSC sent me a GIS map that I hope to send to a GIS coordinator so we can see where this map is, this pipeline's going through Burleigh County. Then we can identify these. So.
That's that one that's going to go up north, right?
It's going up from Watford City all the way to Mapleton.
Right. Yeah, yeah, it goes really close to Knifel, I think. No, Steckel.
Steckel.
Yep. I think we already had that conversation, and we approved all that. I'm not aware of any additional concerns, Commissioner Schwab, sorry.
I'm just kind of curious about how they select or ask for environmental consideration, in the sense that these people are asking it, but Summit Carbon Solution didn't ask it, or didn't even need it.
Good question. I don't know how they determined the siting of this pipeline. That wasn't public comment from us, for sure. It wasn't public comment from the state regulators either. Because this is interstate, it involved Federal Environmental Regulation Committee or Commission. And so I'm not aware how they arrived at the siting of this. It's a natural gas line, so it's a service line for many people, for many companies, no doubt the Ellendale data center. So that's what's at play here.
It seems to me the U.S. Geological Service and the North Dakota Geological Service would have more information on critical areas and whatnot than we would.
Yeah, I have to look at my records. I do believe I have access to some of those unstable areas in Burleigh County.
Okay.
The big one is the road crossings and wildlife areas and anything that this pipeline might impact environmentally. So.
Okay.
The deadline is June 14th or 4th, so I have to get some work done on it.
Okay. Thank you, Mitch.
Yep.
County Auditor Splonskowski, 2026 election update.
Good evening, Chairman and Commissioners. I'll go ahead and put this up on the screen so that everybody watching can see. So right now we're well on our way into the 2026 primary preparations. Right now, we are working on completing logic and accuracy testing, which consists of our DS200s, which is the ballot counting machine that people see at the different polling locations, as well as the DS450s, which is the much larger ones that we use for our absentee precincts specifically. Typically for elections, we need 198 poll workers for election day, and we like to have at least about 50 backups. That allows for anybody who has an emergency pop up, change in plans or anything like that, or anybody who fails to sign up for the election worker trainings, which is what we're currently working on, getting everybody signed up for that. Election workers are required to attend at least one training prior to each election, and so we're working on getting everybody signed up for that. So if there's anybody out there who still wants to go ahead and apply, you certainly can, but especially if you did apply and you have not yet scheduled yourself for a training, please do that or reach out to us as soon as you can. We have 18 polling locations throughout the county. We try to keep everything as local as we can for everybody. We do have the Bismarck Event Center, which is what we call a super precinct, which means that anybody in the county can vote at that location at early vote or on election day. I also have some upcoming things here. Upcoming is the public test, which is basically where I show what we do with the DS200s. I run it through a typical logic and accuracy test. Oftentimes we'll have the media here, as well as anybody, district chairs who want to come, are definitely welcome to attend that. That's going to be on June 1st here in this room. And then I did put the schedule for the early vote here on the screen as well. If anybody wants to attend that, that's definitely something that many people enjoy. They like to take advantage of that. Me, myself, I take advantage of the early vote, which is a really nice feature that we have. On election day, for the primary is June 9th. The polls open at 7 o'clock a.m. And so anybody who wants to get in before work can go to their local polling location or the event center and should be able to vote at those locations. We have currently processed a little over 1,300 absentee ballot requests, so the process for that is if you want to receive an absentee ballot, you submit that application to us. We process the application and we send you out a ballot. You cannot get a ballot unless you fill out the application. And then also a reminder that due to recent legislative changes, those absentee ballots have to be back in the auditor's office possession by the close of polls on election day. In prior years, we could receive those up to 13 days after the election, but with those changes to legislation, we have to have those by 7 p.m. on June 9th for the June election.
You want to mention the location of a drop box also?
Yes, absolutely. We do have a drop box available just to the north of the main door here on 5th Street. And so if you come here before or after hours, you can certainly drop that off in that drop box.
Okay. Thanks.
You bet. Thank you.
It's right around the corner. Okay, next is under me. The first item that I have, there's 4 things to discuss. I'm going to add something else too. I should have mentioned that, but there is I'll get to it later. The first thing is a Provident remodel change order request. Dan is here from HTG Architecture to take the wheel.
Good evening, Commissioners. Dan Shaw, Principal Architect at HTG Architects. I'm here to kind of summarize the change order request that you have in your packet on the agenda. Kind of run through the numbers since we're facilitating 4 different prime contracts for that. There's a lot of convoluted numbers, and we kind of want to summarize it for you and just answer some questions. So basically, we're asking for a change order to remove the contingent or remove the second floor flip amounts that was done during the bidding process. And it was decided during the bidding process that we would use the contingencies with the hope of when the bids came in, they wouldn't be that large. And they came in higher than was expected because we were moving the commission chambers down to the second floor. The original contract had the second floor mostly untouched. It was just going to be finishes. So moving the commission chambers down to the second, we basically had to gut the second floor now. And there was a big portion of the electrical that ended up being higher than was anticipated. So that's where that total amount came out. The reason we're requesting it right now on behalf of the design and the construction team is because it basically chopped out a big portion of the contingency. It took all of the electrical contingency before the project even started. So there's some nervousness in there. We're 8 months into construction. There's 18 months left to have some of that contingency back in case some of these little issues arise as we're seeing come up throughout a renovation project on this scale. So kind of running through that, we're going to give you kind of a high level of basically what the construction contingency is. So right now, as the project stands, the $650,000 contingencies that were in there is less than 4% of the project. Standard contingencies on new construction is typically, anywhere from 3 to 10%. When we're looking at a project along this scale of a historic renovation, typical contingencies run between 12 and 15%. So we're way below the industry standard on this, because even if you took a 10% of the original contract, that would have been $1.6 million in contingencies that they would have had. We gave them $650,000 to work with. And then we took 75% of that before the project even started. So they're doing a really good job out there of keeping things really low and under budget. But that was a big portion of it, was just the flip of those 2 floors right off the bat. So we're proposing just change ordering that portion back out, but you're going to see the total for that price was $516,000 and $516,253 and some change was to flip those 2 floors. But we're not asking for that total amount, because we went to the contractors and we asked them to reduce their amounts of contingency if we give it back to them. They don't need that full $650,000 because we're 8 months into construction and they're pretty familiar with the building. But they would like some extra contingency in there, especially electrical. They have nothing to work with. Anytime there's a change in electrical now, we have to come for a change order. It's going to change the contract total. If the contingencies are put back in there, any of these little things that come up, we can let them stack up, and then at the end of the project, we would change order it back. And if it's not used at the end, any unused contingency comes back to the commission. All the 3 primes that we're talking about here for the contingencies, because the abatement doesn't have any, they're going to still be a change order from here on out because that was how it started. But the other 3 primes, mechanical, electrical, in general, they would have contingencies left, and all of them said they're confident that they're going to be crediting money back to you at the end of the project with the reduced contingencies. Okay? So just running through some of these, basically we chopped off one of their legs right away as we flipped the floors. Some of the main ideas, why we changed the floors was to get, after it started bidding, we had the general contractor on board. We were going back to rebid mechanical, electrical, and abatement, if you guys remember the process way back in May of 2025. So instead of stopping the project, going backward, having to rebid everything, we just said we would try to pull it out of contingency, hoping the amounts fell in there, and we kept the process moving forward just to keep it on time and budget, okay? So it went through, and some of the reasons why we started flipping those was to move the chamber. They were up on the 4th floor now. We want to move it down to the 2nd because it's going to help for ADA, right? People are going to go in, and then we're going to try to reduce the amount of people that are flowing through the entire building, right? We're going to keep them down as low as we can. We actually looked at putting it on the 1st floor, but because of the other facilities and the things that are down there right now, and working with the Historical Society, all that marble, we couldn't gut that and put it on the 1st floor. So the 2nd was the next closest place we could put it. So it's going to help with some ADA, help with security, keep the public down on those lower levels, and then anything from the 3rd up is basically Burleigh County only. So that was kind of the idea of flipping the floors during the process. With that, the contingency amounts moving forward, you can see in your packet there, this is what we're proposing that they would use. 150,592 would be, is basically, once we pull out the floor flips, that's what would be left in the contingency for the general contractor. That's not gonna change. We would keep that at is. Once we pull out the floor flips, the mechanical construction, they would have $241,000. They've only used $8,700 of their contingency. And after talking with the contractors, they're like, we're not gonna need anything near that. So they're gonna actually credit back, we'll pull out $140,000 of that is gonna come out of their contingency and go toward the flip, okay? The electrical construction, if we were to pull the floor flips out with the change orders that have gone through, they'd have roughly $90,000 left in there. And talking with Drew at Skills over there, he said, we're not gonna need that. Put $50,000 in there for contingency, and we're confident we're gonna come in under that for the remainder of the project. So that's why we're not asking for the full $516,000. We're only asking for $160,000 is the change, basically the change of the contingencies. And what we're doing is moving them around. So we're giving electrical back some, we're taking some from mechanical, and it's shifting over to the general contractor, okay? We're shifting those so that it's all level loaded now. That being said, the construction timeline going through, we're 8 months in. We've already done the punch list, and they're taking occupancy of the 6th floor now. The punch list for the 5th floor is actually happening next week, so you guys will be taking occupancy of that shortly thereafter. Oh, sorry, 5th and 6th. We're talking about those. I did them backward here. And then we're 8 months into construction right now, and we're looking at 17 to 18 months. The timelines haven't changed. As these changes are coming up, none of the timelines, those are original contracted timelines. They're still saying that they could come in sooner, but none of them have given us definitive answers on that yet. So that's kind of the first page summary. What the second page and the pie graphs are showing you is basically what portions of the overall project are general, mechanical, electrical, and asbestos abatement. And then those little tiny slivers you have in there, those are what's there for contingencies right now. So you can see the relation to the overall contracts. Then jumping to the next one, it breaks it down even further. So this is just the contingencies for each one. And that's $684,953.67. That's the total change order amount to date. But that is for the 3 primes, mechanical, electrical, general, or mechanical, electrical, and general. Those are the 3 primes. That's the $684,953.67. There's another $108,000 on there. That's just the asbestos abatement, because we're keeping that completely separate, because that's the way the original contract was set up. So to date, the total change order amount with asbestos is $788,043.67. That includes the floor flip, okay? The big chunk right at the beginning. So the actual, if you see right at the top there, it indicates the floor flip change cost, that $516,253. And then we just kind of summarized how it depleted most all of them right off the bat. So we literally chopped off a leg before the project started. And then just noting back to you again that any contingency that's not used is coming back to you in the end. So then this sheet is a summary of just the overall of the ask of the change request. So we're not asking for the $516,000. We're only asking right now for a change order of the $160,000. And that should be enough for us to shift the amounts around and give the contractors back the amount of contingency they think they need to feel comfortable to finish the project for the next 17 to 18 months. And then credit some money back to you, because they're all pretty confident.
Okay.
Any questions? I know it's a lot of numbers.
Questions for Dan? Any questions? Well, I'm not seeing any questions. Either you did a good job.
Well, yeah, we crunched numbers pretty hard. And really, even with the change of the $160,000 change order, if you guys were to allow that right now, we're right at the 5%. So you're still way below the industry standard for any contingencies or change orders on a project of this scale of a historic renovation like this.
Okay, Commissioner Bakken.
Dan, so timeline, we're
Yep,
keeping pace with.
We are. We're still on track for mid-November 2027 or sooner.
Okay, I like the or sooner.
Right?
Yeah, for the full move-in.
Yeah.
For
the
for
full-
completion,
we're
yeah,
fixing
that's
to move in
everybody
that.
in and up and
But we're
running.
phasing in, just so that, we've got different departments that have been displaced, that we're phasing in as they can transfer into the building, so.
So Commissioners, I guess for clarification, before us is a current change order request of $160,000.
Correct.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve. Any further discussion? Call the roll.
Commissioner Bakken?
Yes.
Commissioner Schwab?
Yes.
Commissioner Munson?
No.
Chairman Bittner?
Yes, motion carries.
Thank you,
Dan.
Commissioners.
Mary, did you want to add anything?
Chair and Commissioners, I did meet with Finance this morning. The money is allocated. We transferred the $6 million from the ARPA funds and the $11 million from the general fund. That is sitting in our capital improvement project just for this remodel. So we're still okay financially.
Great. Thank you, Mary. And thank you, Taylor, for working on that. Okay, Centennial Road ditch damage repair. I got to put this on here because some people had contacted me that said they heard from some people that, how was it that we're not out there fixing roads, but we're out there fixing ditches? And I thought I should clarify what went on there. I was up there talking to the landowner and ended up going down in those ditches at that location. And I noticed how extreme the ruts were in there. And then as I was leaving, we were driving down the road heading south. There was a kid on a motorcycle. Now they've started to ride on that high back slope of the ditch because the ruts were so bad down in the bottom. Anyway, that kid was starting to fishtail, and basically he was about to go out of control. And I made the decision at that point that this was a significant safety issue in Burleigh County at that location. And so I contacted the highway department to see if we could kind of schedule something to get started. And then lo and behold, we had the bandwidth to get started on that project, and I thanked everybody for their prompt response. They had the bandwidth to get started on that right away the next day. And that led to the conclusion of the repairs. And so that you understand that there was no impact on road construction or other projects, the asphalt, the hot mix plants are not open yet for us to get materials to actually fix the roads with. You may know that we made an emergency purchase on a machine for speeding up that process, and we have high hopes for that. But the simple point was that there was absolutely zero impact on road maintenance or schedules while they did that safety project. So
And that
Commissioner
ditch was
Bach,
actually to the extent where if we would have had the rain that we had on Sunday and it would not have been repaired, it would have turned into a big pond.
yeah. And so it was a decision at the time that specifically had to do with safety, because with that kid being as close as he was to wiping out, and if he'd ended up down, say it had been a little bit wet, and he was exceeding his skill levels, I was concerned that it would have been all over but the crying, you know. And so that's, and then while I was talking to the landowner, apparently those ditches have been so bad that some ATVs or UTVs or vehicles of some sort have on a couple of different occasions gone out of control there and run through those fences up there. And then cattle are getting out on Centennial Road and whatnot. And so, you know, the safety concern was outweighing just about everything in my mind at the time. So that was the point with putting this on there. And I don't know, Dan, if you want to add anything on, there was some estimation on costs prior to starting, but I think this gives us a really good idea of what we actually had in it.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, just a breakdown real quick of what the costs actually entailed. And our crews do a pretty good job about, you know, tracking all of our particular costs. So on this particular area, we were about $7,600 into labor, 58.98 into equipment costs, and we go off the state rate for equipment costs. So we use whatever the state assigns to a skid steer, or whatever the state assigns to a truck. That's what we charge to a project, and the rest of it would be into materials. So when we come up with that estimate for that $35,000, that's quantifying all of our labor and equipment and material costs. And when we put together the material cost for this particular estimate in this project, we had to come up with some sort of a topsoil cost. So the topsoil that we called around and we tried to source topsoil and what that would actually cost. And we have a very limited supply of actual black dirt in the highway department yard. And from just calling around, we're getting about $30 a cubic yard on an average for screened topsoil. So that's what we used to come up with that particular cost. So just a real we use about 504 cubic yards of topsoil. If you do the math on that, that's a little over $15,000. And you add $3,000 or $2,600 into erosion control, and the rest is in labor and equipment. So
what's the rough?
We're right under $30,000 for the total cost of that, 2/3 of a mile. So when we had originally put together the cost for that $40,000 a mile earlier in the year, and we were really just ballparking it, it actually came out to pretty close to that if we were to do a full mile. So
Okay. That's excellent, and it got done, and it looked really good the last time I saw it. However, Commissioner Bakken mentioned that there was a bunch of damage going on already out there.
I haven't been over there since we finished last week, but it looked good last week.
Well, part of the problem is, if I may, with the rain that we had on Sunday, some individuals decided that, hey, let's go mudding. And I went up and looked at it in that area, and my goodwill is getting extremely strained. People, if you can't figure this out, it's going to stop one way or another, because we can't spend $30,000 of taxpayer dollars to fix spots that somebody goes up and rips up and goes, hey, let's go mudding because it rained. And it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And I've got a lot of latitude for OHV riders and their ability to get from one place to another, but that was ridiculous. People, use your damn brain, because I got pissed this morning when I went and looked at it, and I'm not kidding. And my goodwill is about gone.
Is there any other questions for me?
Yeah, any other questions for Dan? Thanks, Dan.
Yep.
Commissioner Schwab.
As long as we're on this subject, and I agree with Commissioner Bakken, but we are going to start tomorrow asphalt big time. So it's kind of citizens watch out for equipment, because they'll be moving around and don't want no accidents out there.
Yeah, thank you for pointing that out, Mr. Commissioner Schwab. Our crews will be out in full force with pavement repairs and asphalt repairs in particular, but we also have some gravel repairs we're going to be working on. So we got to do it all, and we have an extremely busy season of repairs and maintenance, and
now we have good gravel.
We're working on good gravel. So it's all of the above, and we got to kind of figure out where we're going to spread our forces as best we can. So.
Mr. Chair, before Dan leaves.
Commissioner Munson.
I want to thank Dan and his crew as well. They got the culvert replaced out at the Missouri Valley Complex, and I appreciate that work and the timeliness of it. So thank you.
Yep, no problem.
Okay. Thanks, Dan.
Thank you.
Okay, that brings me to a county collaboration meeting with Burleigh County, Cass County, and Grand Forks County. We've been talking about this. I got a call some time back. We got contacted by the county administrator from Cass County that the chairman over there was wanting to know if we would be interested in kind of putting together a county collaboration meeting so that we can work with Basically, the three biggest counties is how this started. Now, understanding that we have the North Dakota Association of Counties to represent us in some things like at the legislature and whatnot, but we thought that it would be helpful. I agreed with the chairman from Cass County that it would be helpful for us to work together on issues of significance to us, certainly as the largest counties in the state. And so we had that meeting, and we had a meeting on that last week. Our county administrator, Mary Sanger, and I both attended by a Teams meeting, and basically it was a kind of a more or less a kind of get to know each other kind of meeting, and then we talked about just some rough ideas on things that we would want to be working towards at the next legislative session. We decided that the best thing to do is to create a bit of an agenda and for us to have our positions and our thoughts more down on paper for the next meeting, so we can kind of keep a meeting on track instead of just, kind of veering off on different subjects. So that kind of leads me into the final part of that thing is the legislative issues discussion. Basically, the county collaboration meeting, that was just to update you that this thing is happening, and I think it's a benefit to Burleigh County. Then I think Mary Singer probably has a list if she wants to discuss that, and then we can have a little conversation about what we might want to add as far as legislative issues, and then we can work towards with these other counties. So, Mary?
I know we've had a lot of discussion about the off-highway vehicles and the Century Code, but as a board, we've never really discussed what changes you want to pursue for the next legislative session with the current language.
I think they need to get down to the point where they can localize it a little bit more, drop it in the laps of townships. Because if we had the ability to take 2 townships out, we are not having the issue to as great an extent. So that might be a place to start from the legislative side, is being able to drill that down a little bit more.
Okay. We obviously had conversations about the 3% property tax cap and how our situation is different than theirs, and the fact that we're collecting sales tax to reform property taxes and whatnot. So I think we would all, I know that's on Mary's list, that we would certainly be talking about that 3% cap and the impact it has on us, and especially with our situation. So
Hopefully very loudly.
yeah.
There was general consensus, of course, with that further clarification on the cap and how that's going to proceed, if it's going to continue and how long. Is the percentage going to change up, down? What's the intent?
We did have a little bit of discussion at the time about the Garrison Diversion Conservancy District and how that would kind of look in the future. So I would imagine that we're going to delve into that a little bit deeper. To a certain extent, some of the projects that are going on in the state, will benefit those other counties more than they'll benefit us, like the Red River Valley Water Supply Project. But I think that'll happen anyway under the state of North Dakota. So I don't know that really concerns anybody too much with the Garrison Diversion Unit. So.
North Dakota's NGO.
Yeah. What else, Mary? You had?
The North Dakota Public Administrator Support Services, it's PASS for short, so that is administered through the North Dakota Association of Counties for, it's an appropriation to alleviate the local administrator. Aaron Burston, I haven't reached out to him to see if there's any other counties that supplement beyond that PASS system for the program administration for that department. The other item was the human service zone. Where's that going? Is the state fully going to take over the human service zone? Are we going to look at the county allocation to make sure it offsets 100% of what Burleigh County is putting in?
Let me interrupt just a second there, Mary. Part of the reason we were having that conversation is because apparently all of us are doing the same thing. We're housing the human service zone that's now under the state of North Dakota, but you can correct me if I'm wrong, Taylor, but we're not getting any rent.
No.
And so it appears that while the state, and I appreciate them taking over county social services, it seems like we have a pretty substantial investment in what is now a state department. And so my goal would try to be get away from some of these unfunded mandates, and that's just one of them. And there's others that I'm sure. Oh, sorry, Mary, go ahead.
So unfunded mandates along that same theme is the primary residence credit. Great program, everybody loves that, but it passed on to the county. Our tax equalization director was able to email a lot of the confirmation letters out, all but 1,200. So he saved the county approximately $24,000 in printing and postage fees and about 200 hours of staff time. So this is just another unfunded mandate that passes through. One other item that we didn't discuss in the collaboration was the legal notices and official proceedings published in the legal newspaper. More and more print newspapers are doing the e-edition, and the articles are behind the paywalls. So the public can't access those. We do publish them on our website as well. They are, for all of the counties, available on the North Dakota Newspaper Association website, but the majority of our public's not aware of that, and it's not as easily accessible to get on that website either. So that might be
Problem's the paywall.
round two of that.
Yeah.
Any other items that you as a commission want us to look at for legislative issues for 27?
Well, if nothing comes to mind right away, we won't spend a whole lot of time.
Right.
But now, just keep in mind, commissioners, that she is compiling this list, and the whole point is to work with the other big counties. Well, any other counties that want to cooperate too, I guess. But so anything that you come up with that's of significance that we should be addressing through the legislative session, just kind of make sure she's aware of it.
We'll be reaching out to the department heads as well to get specific information from them too.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah. Okay, so we'll move on. Continued commission items.
You had one more item, Chair. Did you want to do that now, or?
Oh, yeah. Okay, thanks for reminding me. That's this piece of paper here. You know, there's a state law. This would be another one. There's a state law that says if the city is going to do an annexation, that they have to send a certified mail to the county, right? Well, so they send this to the county chair, and they send it to my home address, and it comes with that little green card on there that you're supposed to sign and put back in the mailbox, I guess, right? So anyway, the first thing is there's a annexation request, a owner-initiated annexation, and it's called basically, it's all that right away. It's up on North 19th Street, RBK Ventures subdivision. It's the north 1,641.21 feet of the east 43 feet of the northwest quarter of Section 10 Township 139 North, Range 80 West, Hay Creek Township. So the reason I'm mentioning it is because it's certified mail and it meets the terms of the law and whatnot. And so if anybody has any issue with an annexation, then you would just mention it to me, and then I would do something about it, right? So I take and I sign those things, and I cross off my address that's on there, and on the back is the city's address, so then I pop it back in the mailbox. So it supposed to go back to the city. The mailman won't take it. So now, the funny thing about this is it's a state law that says the city's got to do this, but they can't take and bring that letter down from upstairs on the second or third floor where they are, bring it down here to main floor and hand it off to one of the employees in the office. No, they have to go through all this roundabout way of making sure the county's notified, even though we're in the same doggone building. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention, that kind of thing is going on. And if you have any issues with annexation, let me know. Thank you. Okay, now we'll move on. Continued commission item was a fire restriction conversation.
And Mr. Chair, State's Attorney Lawyer was going to do some investigating into it and let us know if we cannot change the restrictions to a small area for the OHVs, can we, we shouldn't be able to eliminate these areas from the ban, the burn restrictions. But State's Attorney Lawyer was going to look into it and give us a report today. That's the only reason it's still here.
So you can't just arbitrarily pick an area that's not going to apply for burn restrictions, but what you can do is we have some exemptions from the burn restrictions when it's, and help me out, I think it's when it's just high, you can still use grills on paved patios as long as it's 15 feet away from vegetation. And that applies across the board. So if you want to make exemptions from the burn restrictions, it's got to be something that applies to everything. So if you're going to say that you want to exempt OHV recreational areas, that has to apply to all OHV recreational areas in the county. So I believe there's only 2 of them, one down at Kimball Bottoms and the other one at the fairgrounds. So that is something that you can do. My recommendation would be that you make those restrictions the same, or those exemptions the same as you make the other exemptions when it's, if you're going to do that. That if it's very high or extremely high, there are no exemptions, there are no exceptions. But that would be my suggestion.
It currently only applies according to those.
If that's the exemption that you're going to make. And like I said, you can't just pick areas where it's not going to apply. But you can say across the county, if there are OHV recreational areas, which generally means there are trails mapped out that don't have vegetation on them that are used for OHV travel. And I know that, like I said, there's only 2 that I'm aware of in the county.
I guess what I was alluding to is that currently the fire restrictions only apply when those certain levels are. I mean, it's not.
Correct.
It's not no off-road travel under the high. It's always under like the very high or the extreme or something like that, I think, isn't it?
I'd have to look at them again, but I believe that it's no unnecessary off-highway travel when fire restrictions or burn restrictions are in effect, and there isn't any exemption for that. And they're in effect when the fire index is high, very high, and extremely high.
Okay, the big problem that I would have with any of that is the trails out at the Missouri Valley Complex are totally overgrown with grass and whatnot at this point, and so I wouldn't do that. And I've had discussions regarding emergency management and the fires and all of the resources the wildland firefighting resources that are being positioned all over the state and whatnot, and everybody's got the same problem right now with it being dry. So my concern with down at the desert, and the reason there's no way I can support an exemption is because that's one of the hardest areas in the county to put a fire out.
Absolutely.
You know, we got no access down there. Except we could use an ATV with a water tank on it.
Or a guard, with
Well, the guard,
helicopters.
the Blackhawks. I mean,
That's the only options.
Yeah.
Well,
And
and Mr. Chair, I'm bringing this to you at the request of, again, from the state Parks Department, because they hold their training at the Missouri Valley Complex. And so our concern was the day that there was a training planned 2 months ago, but it happened to be on a day that there was a burn ban or burn restriction. I apologize, Mary. I'm going to get this right yet. Burn restriction.
Well,
and then to get the letter, from the Corps.
That's not off-road travel. That is an actual facility that's built for that.
But the burn restriction would still cover, to my understanding, if you're going by the letter of the law, it would still cover that. And so that's why the request is coming.
Well, it would cover that if it was off of off-road travel, but it's not off-road travel. It's a facility. It's a parking lot.
It's actually within the center part of the racetrack.
It's for that. I don't think that I don't know. Sheriff Lieben could probably clarify, even though it's under city police jurisdiction, but it's not an apples to apples comparison there.
I know why you're retiring now.
This is one of many reasons. Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, I haven't seen the fairgrounds track. So basically, what the burn restrictions say is unnecessary off-highway travel unless it's paved or gravel. So I would take that to mean if it's a trail, when I look at the definition of a paved and a gravel road, to me, that's an established road. That would be something the highway department would fall under their jurisdiction. So if the fairgrounds wasn't gravelled, then I would say technically it falls under the burn ban or the burn restrictions.
Yeah, get it right.
Well, we do have a lot of gravel out there, a lot of gravel parking lot and whatnot.
Well, and even the whole center of the racetrack is gravel. I mean, it's gravel. So
I think it's a non-issue.
that's a non-issue.
Yeah.
So then at that point,
And you know,
We
it's
need to
it's a
just-
government-sanctioned event. When North Dakota Parks and Recs are out there, I'm pretty sure they're gonna be out there and they got trucks that have fire extinguishers
Right.
in them and all that. I mean, that's normal operating procedure for them.
okay,
I think what the Corps' intent was, Commissioners, is, that is a big recreation area. It's primarily sand down there. There's not a lot of vegetation left due to the off-highway vehicle traffic. So I think that was their intent, to allow that to be used. Ultimately, you as the commission have to make that decision. I can say this, from our perspective, obviously, we're in the business of mitigating risk. And I think what, part of my concern is if we shut down OHV use everywhere, then it gives people no place to go. But you do take on some risk allowing it down there. And again, I think it comes down to, mitigating that risk. What's in the best public interest? That's only a question you can answer.
Thanks for clearing that up.
As mud.
as mud.
Chair, I just want to clarify, OHV is not restricted all the time.
Correct.
Off-road is allowed when we're in the low and medium categories. So they are still allowed to recreate during low and medium.
I'm okay letting this sit for now, Mr. Chair. I mean, we've got a consensus on the training that the North Dakota Parks and Rec does at the complex. That was my number one concern. The Corps' letter came in after that whole conversation, so I included it. Let's just leave it, let's drop it, and see where we go.
Okay. Sounds good to me. Any other business for the good of Burleigh County? We are adjourned. Thank you.